John had lived on a farm for most of his life, so he thought he knew all of the behaviors and personalities of all of his animals. That is, until one night when he witnessed his flock of sheep walking together in a large circle, each one facing forward and keeping the same slow pace. John noticed the strange phenomenon from his bedroom window in the middle of the night, and he couldn't stop himself from going outside to take a closer look. What he saw made him wish that he didn't go out there alone. In a hurry, he zipped up his jacket and slipped on his boots. Careful not to disturb his wife, Sandra, he quietly exited the room. Equipped with a flashlight and his phone, he walked into the fields, driven by a strong desire to find out what was going on. This situation was anything but ordinary, and he couldn't brush it off. Something strange was happening to his sheep, and he was determined to uncover the truth. He tiptoed towards them cautiously, not wanting to disturb their mesmerized state. Watching them from his window had been his only glimpse so far, and this was the first time he ventured so near to the group while they were in a trance. He was extra cautious, uncertain about how they would respond to his unexpected arrival. Coming closer, he was able to observe them more carefully, and the sight was unsettling. After a period of observation, he mustered the bravery to let his presence be known and attempt to get their attention. But despite his efforts to communicate with them, the sheep remained completely oblivious to his presence, continuing their repetitive circular path. It provided a sense of relief to observe that the sheep appeared to be in good health. Although they exhibited no indications of pain or uneasiness, they were inexplicably in a deep trance-like state. They remained unresponsive, even when Farmer John directed his flashlight towards them. This bizarre occurrence left him confused, and with plenty of unanswered questions. After a while, John decided it was time to return to his bed. The chill in the air and the prospect of a demanding day ahead prompted him to prioritize getting some rest. However, before doing so, he took the opportunity to capture some snapshots and videos of his herd, hoping they might help in his quest for answers. He was not going to stop until he figured out what was going on. The next morning, as he got out of bed, he eagerly glanced out the window. It seemed like the events of last night had vanished into thin air. The sheep were behaving just like any other day, strolling around and peacefully munching on grass. There were no hints of anything out of the ordinary. If it weren't for the pictures and videos John had captured, he would have had no evidence to support his incredible experience. But fortunately, he did. He had been witnessing this strange occurrence for several consecutive nights, but he hadn't discussed it with his wife until now. He didn't want to disturb her sleep, but he made up his mind to share the footage with her. Maybe she would have some insight into what was happening. "Sandra, there's something important I want to show you." Over their morning coffee, Farmer John shared with Sandra the pictures and videos he had taken. Sandra's reaction was gasping in shock as she witnessed what he had captured. Visibly upset, she asked, "What is this?" What are they doing?" Farmer John believed that she too had never encountered anything like this before. "Well, that's what I'm trying to find out," he responded. Sandra was determined to go out with him on that particular night. She had an unwavering need to witness it firsthand. So they dedicated their entire day to diligently finishing everything else that needed to be done. When they decided to retire for the night, they made sure to set the alarm for midnight, fueled by their fear of missing out on the experience. Hours later, the ringing sound of the alarm filled their bedroom, and the couple was immediately wide awake. Sandra jumped out of bed faster than her husband had ever seen her do before, and she ran to the window. "Oh my, it's really happening. They're doing it again, John," she exclaimed. They quickly got dressed and hurried outside, onto the fields. John looked at his wife, who had fallen silent, and he saw that she was terrified. He took her hand and said, "Don't worry, darling, there has to be a logical explanation for this. We'll figure it out, I promise." However, she pulled away her hand and ran back inside the house. John, confused and surprised, immediately followed her. Once inside, he asked her what was going on, and tried to calm her down a bit, but it didn't work. Sandra was quite upset, and she said, "John, this isn't normal. I have never seen this before, and it is impossible. Why would they be doing that? Does it have to do with aliens, or some devilish power?" John stared at his wife in silence for a second, and then he chuckled, trying to hold in his laugh. "Of course not. Don't be silly, you know those things aren't real. Just give it some time, I'm sure we'll find out what's going on." He tried to comfort her. He hadn't expected her to react like this at all. He decided that the next day he would ask some friends for help. Maybe one of the other farmers in the area had noticed the same thing. And he also decided he would post the video he had taken online. Perhaps someone on the internet would be able to tell him more about the situation. Morning found John sitting at his computer, rewatching the video he'd taken the previous night. It was both mesmerizing and chilling, and each time he played it back, he felt a growing knot of concern. He selected the farming forum from his bookmarks, typed a short description, and uploaded the video. "Maybe someone out there has seen this before," he whispered, his fingers crossed. Within hours, his post was flooded with responses. Some were filled with laughter emojis, insinuating he'd edited the video for a laugh. Others were more sincere, expressing concern or curiosity. One comment read, "Is this some sort of a late April Fool's prank?" But another said, "This is haunting. Never seen anything like it. Are the sheep okay?" Amidst the sea of skepticism, a few voices resonated with genuine concern. Farmer Bill from 2 towns over commented, "Saw something similar last spring, but only for a night." Another, Farmer Elsie, wrote, "My grandmother spoke of our sheep doing this years ago, but I never believed her until now." It was clear John wasn't entirely alone in this mystery. Debates broke out within the forum. Some called for John to post more evidence, convinced it was a digital prank. Others jumped to his defense, stating they'd seen odd behaviors, though not as pronounced. The line between concern and skepticism grew, turning the forum into a lively battleground of opinions and personal anecdotes. Intrigued by the confessions of a few farmers, John began to reach out personally. Through direct messages, he tried to find similarities. Were there specific times these occurrences took place? Were there any specific patterns? Were certain breeds affected more? Although his search was initially messy, he hoped to find some thread that connected these bizarre events. Disturbed by the events, Sandra decided to embark on a different path. She believed that sometimes history held answers to the present. The local library, with its vast collection of town records and folklore, was her destination. She hoped to uncover any incidents from the past that mirrored their current situation. Hours of skimming through old records brought her to an aged book with worn-out pages. A legend from decades ago spoke of sheep exhibiting strange behaviors. There was a mention of nights where the moon shone differently, casting an unusual glow on the town. On these nights, sheep were said to move in unison, their actions reminiscent of a synchronized dance. The more Sandra read, the more intrigued she became. The legend seemed to hint at a connection between the peculiar lunar events and the odd behavior of the sheep. Could it be that the same event was occurring now? Were they in the middle of a similar lunar cycle? The thought both excited and scared her. While the legend offered some clues, it was fragmented. Some pages were missing, while others were faded, but the snippets she could read painted a vivid picture. Tales of elders gathering, rituals being performed, and a desperate attempt to understand the bizarre phenomenon. It was as if history was replaying itself. As evening approached, Sandra gathered her notes. The legend's tales, though incomplete, felt eerily familiar. There was a pressing need to decipher the remaining parts of the story. Armed with newfound knowledge and a million questions, she decided to share her discoveries with John. She hoped that together, they might unravel this ancient puzzle. It wasn't long before John's video found its way to Dr. Clara, a renowned veterinarian with a passion for neurology. Intrigued by the sheep's behavior, she sent John a message. "I've come across strange behaviors in animals, but this is a new one. Would you mind if I took a closer look?" With hope in his heart, John agreed. Meeting over a cup of coffee, Dr. Clara discussed her initial thoughts. There could be a neurological trigger causing this synchronized movement, she mused. Perhaps they've ingested something affecting their nervous system, or maybe some external factor we haven't considered. John listened intently, hoping her expertise would shed light on the mystery. The next day, Dr. Clara arrived at John's farm, equipped with her tools and equipment. She was meticulous, examining the sheep one by one, drawing blood samples, and making detailed observations. The flock seemed wary of the newcomer but allowed her gentle touch. John and Sandra watched closely, awaiting her insights. After hours of examination, Dr. Clara presented her initial findings. There's no immediate evidence of any toxin or neurological ailment. Their vitals are stable and blood work is standard. While somewhat relieving, this only deepened the mystery. But Dr. Clara was persistent. "We're just scratching the surface," she assured them. Clara began considering other potential causes. She questioned John about their diet, any new plants or fungi the sheep might have consumed. She studied the local flora, pondering the slim chance of some herb or mushroom causing these effects. The search for a biological cause became an intensive quest. While the investigation continued, John and Sandra took a walk around their property to clear their minds. They ventured to a part of the farm they rarely visited and stumbled upon something unexpected: an old, half-covered well. Moss and vines masked most of its structure, suggesting it had been forgotten for years. As they cleared away the overgrowth, they noticed intricate carvings surrounding the well's entrance. Twisted shapes, symbols resembling moon phases, and animal footprints decorated the stones. These weren't just random markings, they held an aura of significance, possibly ritualistic. The presence of the well, coupled with the mysterious symbols, made John and Sandra wonder, could there be a connection between the well and the sheep's bizarre behavior? It seemed far-fetched, but given the oddities they'd experienced, nothing felt impossible anymore. With a renewed purpose, the duo delved into researching the well. They consulted old property records, spoke to the town's elders, and even invited historians. They were determined to uncover the well's history, hoping it might provide answers to the present-day enigma. Through their research, they discovered that the well wasn't just a source of water but had historical significance. It was a remnant of an ancient ceremonial ground. Legend spoke of rituals performed under specific lunar cycles, aligning eerily with the tales Sandra found. The past and present seemed intertwined, drawing John and Sandra deeper into the puzzle. As they delved deeper into the symbols around the well, a pattern emerged. Many of the carvings closely mirrored lunar cycles, crescents, full moons, and obscure symbols that seemed to track lunar eclipses. Sandra remembered the legend she'd uncovered at the library, and it felt like pieces of a puzzle coming together. Comparing her library notes with the deciphered symbols, Sandra recognized similar mentions of sheep and lunar events. She shared her findings with John. "There's too much overlap for this to be mere coincidence," she whispered, excitement evident in her voice. The legend and the well's history seemed intertwined. Curious neighbors, having heard whispers, began offering their insights. Local historians provided their interpretations of the symbols, revealing layers of history. A collective effort was underway, as the entire town sought to unravel the mystery of the well and the enigmatic behavior of the sheep. With the town abuzz, elderly residents reminisced about days gone by. "I remember my grandfather talking about the sheep acting strangely," said one. Tales, long considered folklore, now bore weight. There seemed to be a cyclical pattern, occurring every few decades, that tied the sheep's behavior to specific lunar phases. Upon deeper inspection, and with the help of local astronomers, a startling revelation was made. Every time the sheep exhibited such behavior in history, it coincided with a rare alignment of lunar events. The next such event was approaching, amplifying the urgency and curiosity of the findings. Rumors about the enigmatic well and the sheep's behavior soon became the talk of the town. Conversations over fences, at the local cafe, and even at the school centered around the unfolding mystery. Everyone had a theory, an anecdote, or a piece of the puzzle to contribute. At the town hall, a gathering was organized where community members could share personal experiences and insights. From children to adults, everyone had a story. Some dismissed them as old wives' tales, while others believed in the deep-rooted connection between the lunar cycles and the sheep. In a corner of the hall, surrounded by eager listeners, sat the town's elders. They recounted tales passed down through generations. Their stories, often dismissed in their youth, now became vital clues. They spoke of ceremonies, chants, and the reverence the ancestors held for these lunar events. As the date of the predicted lunar event neared, the community decided to witness it together at John's farm. Preparations began in earnest. Telescopes were set up, picnic blankets spread out, and a sense of camaraderie pervaded. They hoped to witness and perhaps understand the enigma firsthand. The evening arrived, and John's farm was alight with lanterns and buzzing with anticipation. As the moon began its ascent, all eyes were on the sheep and the sky. Some whispered prayers, some held their breath, and others simply watched in awe. The night was alive with hope and mystery, as the town waited for the event to unfold. The farm was a symphony of conversations, laughter, and shared wonder. Unity was palpable. John, Sandra, and Dr. Clara, having become the impromptu leaders of this unfolding story, were at the heart of it, welcoming guests and organizing the gathering. They felt a profound sense of connection with everyone who had come to witness the phenomenon. As the moon ascended, casting its silver hue, a profound silence settled. Everyone's attention shifted from conversations to the sheep. Families huddled closer, children sat on their parents' shoulders, and everyone eagerly awaited the fabled event. An electric air of anticipation hummed throughout. A myriad of scientific tools dotted the landscape. Tripods with cameras stood ready to capture any anomaly. Sound recorders were set up to catch the faintest of sounds. Dr. Clara, with her team, prepared to monitor the sheep's vitals. The field had transformed into a blend of old-world charm and modern science. Amidst the local crowd, several notable figures stood out. Scholars from reputed universities, drawn by the accounts of the event, were there, notebooks in hand. They engaged in fervent discussions, hypothesizing about the impending event. Their presence lent an academic weight to the gathering, solidifying its significance. The old church bell rang, signifying the approach of midnight. A collective breath was held. Every second felt longer than the last, every sound magnified. The air was thick with tension. Eyes flitted between the grazing sheep and the glowing moon. The town waited with bated breath. The moment everyone had been waiting for arrived. As if on cue, the sheep began circling, their movements synchronized in an eerie dance. Whispers filled the air. "It's happening," someone exclaimed. The phenomenon, previously just tales and rumors, was unfolding before their eyes. Amid the astonishment, Dr. Clara and her team sprang into action. Heart rate monitors were attached, and behavior was meticulously documented. Every bleat, every movement was under scrutiny. The data collected would be instrumental in understanding the mystery that had brought the town together. A team of geologists, intrigued by the proximity of the old well, began extracting soil samples. They hoped to uncover any anomalies that might be contributing to the sheep's behavior. As they delved deeper, their tools revealed layers of rich history buried beneath. Upon examination, an unusual mineral sparkled in the soil samples. Its presence around the well was abundant and couldn't be ignored. Initial tests suggested it wasn't native to the region, making its concentration around the well even more perplexing. While the community was engrossed in the sheep's behavior, scientists began piecing together a hypothesis. The unique mineral, they posited, might exhibit strange properties under specific lunar conditions. As they delved into its composition, the link between the moon, the well, and the sheep's behavior began to crystallize. John's primary concern was the well-being of his sheep. With a few fellow farmers, he tried to shepherd them away from the area rich in the mysterious mineral. The sheep, however, seemed magnetically drawn to the spot, their trance-like state making the task challenging. Using wooden planks, ropes, and even vehicles, a makeshift barrier was erected around the affected area. The hope was that by blocking their path, the sheep might snap out of their trance. Volunteers patrolled the barriers, ensuring none of the animals could get through. Desperate to divert their attention, the crowd tried various methods. Radios were played loudly, toys were dangled, and even food was laid out as bait. Some children even tried performing little dances, but the sheep remained largely undeterred, their focus unwavering. As dawn's first light streaked the sky, a notable change occurred. The circular movement of the sheep began to slow, their synchronized steps faltering. The spell was breaking. With each passing minute, more sheep seemed to shake off the mysterious hold that had gripped them. The sun rose to a scene of exhausted relief. The once entranced sheep were now grazing normally, their bizarre nighttime behavior a fading memory. John, Sandra, and the community looked on, grateful that the ordeal had ended without harm to the animals. Post-event, the farm became a hub for expert discussion. Researchers, scientists, and locals gathered to make sense of the observations. Charts were spread out, videos replayed, and a timeline of events was constructed. Everyone was eager to understand the mystery that had unfolded. After analyzing the data, a groundbreaking hypothesis emerged. The mineral, when exposed to the specific lunar conditions, might produce a low-frequency resonance. This sound, though inaudible to humans, had a captivating effect on the sheep. Further research suggested that this resonance might interfere with the sheep's internal navigation systems. It was akin to them being lost in a fog, leading them to move in circles, searching for a sense of direction. The unique interplay between geology and astronomy was wreaking havoc on their instincts. The events of that night shone a light on a rare convergence, the interplay between geology and astronomy. The discovery was both enlightening and humbling, a reminder of the intricacies of nature and how even the most seemingly unrelated elements could intersect. The community, united in their concern, brainstormed ideas to prevent future occurrences. Proposals ranged from relocating the sheep during such lunar events to possibly neutralizing the mineral's effects. The event had fostered a deep sense of camaraderie and shared responsibility among the townsfolk. News of the mysterious event traveled fast, transcending the boundaries of the town. Journalists, students, and the merely curious began to trickle in, turning John's once quiet farm into a bustling hub of activity. From local television segments to articles in agricultural journals, the farm soon achieved a kind of celebrity status. In the face of unexpected fame, the residents of the town found themselves bound together by the shared experience. Community meetings became more frequent, and it was common to see neighbors discussing their theories or simply reminiscing about that unforgettable night. The incident had solidified a sense of unity and mutual support. Understanding the importance of the event, the community collectively decided to create a detailed record. This involved collecting eyewitness accounts, scientific data, and photographs. A dedicated space in the local library was set up as a repository of information, allowing anyone interested to delve deeper into the phenomenon. While the mystery had been mostly unraveled, the deeper lesson was not lost on the townsfolk. Nature, in its vastness, had shown them just how intertwined its elements could be. The rare convergence of geology, astronomy, and animal behavior was a humbling reminder of the wonders that lay in the world around them. John and Sandra, at the heart of it all, found themselves in a whirlwind of emotions. The concern for their sheep had turned into a journey of discovery and community bonding. While they hoped for quieter days ahead, they knew they had a story unique and extraordinary that would be passed down for generations to come.